Long before the invention of clocks and watches, humans were deeply aware of the passage of time. Even without precise instruments, there was a quiet understanding that the day moved in patterns, that night followed day, and that the seasons shifted gradually, shaping the rhythm of life. People learned to sense these patterns through observation, patience, and careful attention to the natural world around them. From the earliest days, survival depended on noticing time, knowing when the sun rose or set, when certain animals became active, or when water sources were safest to access, could mean the difference between safety and danger. Time was not just abstract, it was intimately tied to living, breathing routines, guiding actions in a gentle, continuous flow. The human mind naturally sought order, seeking ways to predict, measure, and prepare. Even in ancient villages, people would rise with the sun, work during its light, and rest as it faded. This slow, natural structuring of the day provided a sense of calm and balance, a rhythm that was reassuring even without any tools to mark the hours. People also noticed that certain natural events repeated predictably. The moon cycled through its phases, the tides shifted in steady patterns, and certain flowers and crops bloomed only at particular times. These recurring events offered clues, subtle markers that could guide life with a quiet, dependable consistency. Daily life was structured around these observations. Meals, work, rest, and social gatherings all became linked to the movements of the sun and the phases of the moon. Time was experienced not in minutes or seconds, but in the slow unfolding of natural rhythms, allowing people to flow along with the environment rather than rush against it. The need to organize communal life also became evident. As societies grew, coordinating shared activities required a more conscious awareness of time. People found that marking the day with natural cues, sounds, or visual signals could help groups act together in harmony, preserving order and stability in daily life. Even without instruments, humans developed a keen sense of the day's passage. Shadows shifted gradually, morning light brightened, and the air warmed as the sun rose. These subtle changes were noticed and appreciated, forming an intuitive understanding of time that was quiet, meditative, and precise in its own way. In addition to practical concerns, people developed an emotional and psychological awareness of time. They noticed the gentle fading of daylight, the long stretch of night, and the anticipation of seasonal changes. Time became not just a measure, but a companion, moving slowly, predictably, and patiently alongside life. The awareness of time also influenced storytelling, rituals, and traditions. Events were often marked by the cycle of days or seasons. Ceremonies were held at particular phases of the moon, and agricultural practices relied on predictable patterns. Time became embedded in culture, quietly shaping the human experience across generations. Observation was central to all early timekeeping. People learned to watch carefully, noting subtle changes in the environment. The movement of clouds, the direction of winds, and the behavior of animals all offered clues. Each observation became a tool, a quiet way to anticipate and plan, grounding life in the steady, unfolding flow of the world. Even in solitude, humans could sense the passage of time. A person resting by a river, watching the sun move across the sky, or feeling the gradual cooling of the air at dusk, could feel the rhythm of hours and days. These personal observations created a gentle awareness, a connection to the environment and one's own body. Through this slow, careful attention to the world, humans developed the earliest concepts of time. They learned that life moved in patterns, that cycles could be observed and anticipated, and that even without clocks or watches, there was a natural order guiding each day. This foundation would later inspire the creation of tools and methods to measure time more precisely. But the calm, patient observation of nature remained at the heart of the human experience. Long before any tools or devices existed, humans looked to the sun to guide their understanding of time. The sun's gentle rise and fall created a natural rhythm that everyone could see and feel. Its presence in the sky marked the beginning of the day, while its gradual descent into the horizon signaled the approach of night. Observing the sun became the first, quiet way for people to orient themselves in daily life. The position of the sun offered subtle clues about the hour. As it climbed higher, the light changed, shadows shifted, and warmth spread across the land. People learned to notice these changes, slowly connecting the sun's journey with the timing of their work, meals, and rest. Each day became a series of gentle cues, naturally structuring life without the need for instruments. Morning, noon, and evening were understood through careful observation. Morning brought a soft glow that gradually brightened. Noon was marked by the sun's strongest and most vertical light, and evening arrived as the sky dimmed and shadows stretched long across the ground. These markers were simple yet profoundly effective, guiding life in a soothing, predictable pattern. People also noticed seasonal variations in the sun's movement. During summer, the sun rose earlier and lingered longer, casting a warm, golden light late into the evening. In winter, daylight was brief and the sun's path was lower, creating longer shadows and cooler warmth. These patterns became essential guides, quietly shaping activities and expectations throughout the year. Shadows were especially important. Even without formal tools, humans observed the length and direction of shadows cast by trees, rocks, or sticks. Shadows grew shorter as the sun rose and lengthened as it descended. This natural clock offered a subtle, meditative way to sense the passage of hours, inviting slow awareness and attention. Observing the sun was also tied to intuition. People learned to feel changes in temperature, notice shifts in light intensity, and sense the subtle movement of time through the environment. This combination of visual and sensory cues created a gentle, immersive understanding of daily rhythms, deeply connected to the natural world. Beyond daily routines, the sun guided spiritual and cultural life. Many ceremonies and rituals were aligned with sunrise or sunset, acknowledging the sun's steady cycle. These quiet rituals reinforced a sense of order, comfort, and continuity, connecting people not only to the day, but also to the passage of time across generations. Even work and rest were structured around the sun's movement. Tasks that required visibility, warmth, or social coordination were planned according to light and shadow. The sun became a natural organizer, its consistent patterns offering reassurance and predictability without mechanical measurement. People also noticed the subtle changes in color and atmosphere as the sun moved. Morning light often had a soft golden hue. Midday brightness was strong but neutral, and evening light cast warm, fading tones across the landscape. These variations became intuitive markers of time, gently guiding perception and action. Children learned by watching adults and nature alike. They observed the sun's rise and fall, the shifting shadows, and the warmth of the day. Slowly, they internalized these cues, developing an innate sense of time that was subtle, reliable, and soothing. Observing the sun required patience. Each day offered slightly different experiences due to weather, season, and location. By attentively noticing these changes, people cultivated mindfulness, aligning their lives with a slow, calming rhythm dictated by the natural world. Through careful observation of the sun, humans established one of the earliest, most reliable methods of understanding the day. It was a simple, meditative practice, offering both practical guidance and a gentle, emotional connection to the world. Even without clocks, the sun provided a quiet, constant companion, marking the flow of life in a way that was both precise and deeply reassuring. As human observation of the sun grew more sophisticated, early civilizations developed tools to measure its movement more precisely, giving birth to one of the first instruments of time, the sundial. Sundials transformed the gentle observation of sunlight and shadow into a more structured understanding, offering a slow, predictable way to divide the day into hours. A sundial was simple in concept, yet elegant in function. It consisted of a flat surface marked with lines or symbols over which a stick, pillar, or triangular piece known as a gnomon cast a shadow. As the sun moved across the sky, the shadow slowly shifted, indicating the progression of time. This quiet motion created a calm, meditative way to sense the hours passing. Ancient Egyptians were among the earliest users of sundials. They crafted stone slabs and carefully aligned them with the cardinal directions. By observing the movement of the shadow over these markers, they could approximate the time of day. This practice was subtle, requiring patience and gentle attention to the patterns of light and dark. Greeks and Romans later refined sundials, creating portable versions and adding more detailed hour markings. These instruments became integral to civic life, helping people coordinate gatherings, religious ceremonies, and work schedules. Sundials connected the human need for precision with the natural rhythms of the sun in a calm and steady way. Using a sundial required quiet observation. People would note the shadow's position and compare it with the lines on the surface, learning to interpret the gradual movement. This practice encouraged patience, awareness, and a deeper appreciation for the steady, predictable flow of time. Seasonal changes affected sundials as well. The sun's path in the sky shifted slightly over the year, causing shadows to fall in different places at the same time. Observant people learned to account for these variations, adjusting their expectations and routines in harmony with nature's slow cycles. Sundials were not only practical, but also aesthetic and spiritual. Many were adorned with inscriptions, symbols, or carvings that invited reflection. Watching the shadow move across these designs became a contemplative activity, connecting the measurement of time with beauty and quiet thought. Children and apprentices learned to read sundials by careful imitation. They noticed how the shadow moved, how it changed with the seasons, and how to align the gnomon properly. This slow learning process instilled patience and a sense of connection with both the instrument and the larger patterns of nature. Even in bustling cities, sundials provided a gentle anchor. They reminded people that time moved steadily, whether or not one was busy, offering reassurance through their predictability. The slow, consistent motion of the shadow created a calming rhythm amidst daily activities. The sundial also emphasized observation over reliance on memory. By checking the shadow regularly, people aligned themselves with natural time rather than estimating it. This fostered mindfulness and a quiet awareness, turning a practical tool into a meditative companion. Portable sundials allowed travelers to bring this gentle timekeeping method with them, observing the sun's movement in new locations and adapting to unfamiliar landscapes. The practice encouraged attentiveness, patience, and a subtle appreciation for changing light and shadow. Through sundials, humans discovered that measuring time could be both precise and calming. The steady movement of shadows encouraged quiet observation, patient reflection, and a deep connection to the natural rhythms of the world, laying the groundwork for many more timekeeping innovations to come. Long before sophisticated sundials existed, humans discovered that even the simplest tools could reveal the passage of time. A single stick, placed vertically in the ground, could serve as a gnomon, casting a shadow that moved slowly and steadily with the sun. This humble method became one of the earliest ways to track the hours of the day. Observing the shadow required gentle attention. In the morning, the shadow was long and stretched across the ground, moving gradually as the sun climbed higher. By noon, it shortened, pointing more directly downward, and in the evening, it lengthened again. Watching this subtle motion created a calm rhythm, connecting people to the natural flow of the day. Early humans quickly realized that the length and direction of shadows offered practical guidance. Farmers could determine the best times to plant or harvest. Hunters could judge when to return home, and communities could coordinate shared activities. Shadow observation became an unhurried, intuitive way to organize life. The gnomon could be as simple as a branch stuck into the earth, or as refined as a carved wooden or stone post. Even the simplest version taught patience and mindfulness. People learned to notice the slightest changes in the shadow's position, gradually building a reliable sense of time through quiet observation. Seasonal changes added depth to this practice. Shadows behaved differently in summer and winter, reflecting the sun's shifting path across the sky. People adjusted naturally, learning to account for these variations in their daily routines. This gentle adaptation reinforced a deep connection to the cycles of the earth. Children and young members of the community learned by imitation. They watched elders check shadows before starting work or deciding on tasks, absorbing the slow, rhythmic nature of this practice. Over time, they internalized the subtle cues and began to sense time intuitively, without needing to consult the stick constantly. Shadow sticks were often complemented by other natural indicators. People might notice the length of sunlight on a wall, the position of a tree's shadow, or even the reflection of light on water. Combining these observations strengthened their sense of time, creating a layered, gentle awareness of the day. In addition to practical applications, shadow sticks offered a quiet, contemplative experience. Watching the slow movement of a shadow encouraged stillness and mindfulness. People could pause and reflect as the day progressed, appreciating the natural rhythms that guided their lives. The simplicity of shadow sticks made them accessible to almost everyone. No elaborate materials or training were required. All that was needed was careful attention, patience, and a willingness to observe the natural world, a practice that fostered calmness and attentiveness. Even small adjustments, such as repositioning the stick or noting the shadow's length at different times, were performed deliberately and gently. These subtle acts reinforced a sense of continuity, teaching that time was steady, reliable, and intertwined with the environment. Shadow sticks were also portable, allowing people to carry a small gnomon when traveling or working away from home. This adaptability encouraged ongoing observation, fostering a quiet discipline and connection to natural cues even in unfamiliar places. Through the use of shadow sticks and gnomons, early humans learned that measuring time did not require complex tools. The steady, predictable movement of shadows provided both practical guidance and a meditative rhythm, offering reassurance and a gentle, mindful connection to the cycles of the day. As human ingenuity grew, people sought ways to measure time even when the sun was hidden or during the quiet hours of night. One of the earliest solutions was the water clock, a gentle and meditative device that measured the steady flow of water to mark the passage of hours. These clocks transformed the simple observation of time into a quiet, continuous process. Water clocks were made in various forms, often consisting of a container that allowed water to flow at a controlled rate into another vessel. As the water level rose or fell, it provided a visual measure of passing time. The slow, predictable movement created a calming rhythm, allowing people to sense hours in a serene, continuous flow. The Egyptians, Greeks, and later Romans refined water clocks, using them in temples, courts, and daily life. These clocks allowed people to measure time more consistently than by shadows alone, especially on cloudy days or at night. The gentle, rhythmic sound of water dripping or flowing added a sensory layer that was soothing and reflective. Using a water clock required patience and attention. Observers would watch the level of water rise or the dripping into a lower container, noting the gradual progress. Each moment was subtle, encouraging quiet focus and mindfulness as people connected with the steady, natural flow of the liquid. Variations in design allowed for different uses. Some water clocks measured hours, others divided the day into smaller increments, and some were designed to signal events or mark periods of work. Regardless of complexity, the principle remained the same: the slow, consistent movement of water offered a reliable marker of passing time. Children and apprentices learned by careful observation. They watched how water filled a vessel or emptied through a small hole, noting the consistency of flow and the corresponding time intervals. Slowly, they internalized the concept, developing a gentle sense of rhythm and anticipation without hurrying. Water clocks also emphasized adaptation. People noticed that temperature, water pressure, and vessel size could influence flow, and they learned to adjust accordingly. This attentive approach reinforced mindfulness, teaching that precision and patience were both essential to understanding time. These clocks were often quiet companions in daily routines. Their soft, rhythmic sounds blended with other natural noises, wind, birds, or distant watercourses, creating a calming atmosphere that marked the day in a gentle, soothing way. The use of water clocks encouraged reflection. Observers could watch time pass slowly, noting the steady rise or fall of water, feeling the continuity of hours in a meditative, almost ceremonial way. It was a reminder that time flows steadily, and that life moves with a patient, consistent rhythm. Even in communal settings, water clocks offered a subtle organizational tool. They helped coordinate activities, signal work periods, or mark ceremonial events. Their predictable flow brought order while maintaining a quiet, contemplative atmosphere. Portable water clocks, though rare, allowed travelers or officials to carry a sense of structured time with them. Even in new environments, the slow, deliberate flow of water provided reassurance, linking them to the familiar rhythm of measured hours. Through water clocks, humans discovered that time could be measured with elegance and serenity. The slow, steady movement of liquid became a gentle reminder of nature's rhythms, allowing people to track hours with mindfulness, calm, and a deep sense of continuity. As humans continued to seek ways to measure time, especially during the quiet hours of night, the candle clock emerged as a gentle and practical solution. By observing the slow burning of a candle, people could estimate the passage of hours, relying on the steady, comforting rhythm of flame and wax. This method created a soft, meditative way to track time after sunset. Candle clocks were often simple in design. A candle would be marked with lines or symbols along its length, each representing a segment of time. As the flame consumed the wax, it gradually revealed the passage of hours. The slow, predictable descent of the candle provided a calming visual marker, reminding observers of time's steady, unhurried flow. The gentle flicker of the flame added an additional layer of soothing rhythm. People could watch the light dance, notice the shadows it cast, and feel the warmth it provided. This combination of sight and touch made the practice of tracking time both sensory and reflective, encouraging patience and quiet observation. Early candle clocks varied in size and composition. Some were thick and tall, designed to last several hours, while others were smaller, used for brief intervals. Beeswax, tallow, and other natural materials were commonly employed, creating subtle aromas that enhanced the gentle, immersive experience of marking time. Using a candle clock required attentiveness. Observers learned to monitor the flame, adjust for drafts or wind, and interpret the remaining length of the candle. These small, deliberate actions nurtured mindfulness, teaching that even a simple source of light could serve as a careful, reliable guide through the evening. Children often learned about candle clocks by watching adults, noting the slow progression of the flame and the gradual melting of wax. Through repeated observation, they developed an intuitive sense of time, understanding that hours could pass silently and gently, guided by natural processes rather than mechanical devices. Candle clocks were not only practical, but also integrated into rituals and quiet daily routines. Monks, scholars, and householders alike used them to structure prayer, study, or work. The steady, meditative flow of light encouraged reflection, offering a comforting companion during periods of quiet concentration. Even the subtle sounds of the candle, the tiny hiss or crackle as it burned, added to the sensory experience. Time was no longer abstract. It was felt in the warmth, seen in the shortening wax, and quietly heard in the subtle noises of combustion. This multi-sensory awareness made the passage of hours tangible in a serene, immersive way. Seasonal and environmental factors influenced candle clocks as well. Variations in wax composition, room temperature, or airflow could change the rate of burning, requiring attentive adjustment. People adapted naturally, learning patience and observation, and gaining a quiet appreciation for the delicate balance of natural processes. In communal settings, candle clocks helped synchronize activities, signaling moments for work, rest, or gatherings. Their gentle light provided a shared reference, creating calm coordination without abruptness or urgency, reinforcing a soothing rhythm for daily life. Portable candles allowed timekeeping to extend beyond the home or temple. Travelers could carry a small marked candle, relying on its steady burn to gauge intervals during evening journeys. This subtle companion provided reassurance and continuity, even in unfamiliar surroundings. Through candle clocks, humans discovered that time could be both measured and experienced with elegance and serenity. The gradual consumption of wax and the gentle flicker of flame offered a slow, meditative awareness, reminding people that hours pass steadily, quietly, and predictably, in harmony with the natural rhythm of life. As timekeeping continued to evolve, humans discovered the quiet, mesmerizing rhythm of sand flowing through narrow openings, giving rise to the hourglass. This simple yet elegant invention transformed the passage of time into a visual and meditative experience, allowing people to observe hours and minutes in a gentle, continuous flow. Hourglasses consisted of two glass bulbs connected by a narrow neck, with sand slowly trickling from the upper chamber to the lower. The steady, uninterrupted movement of grains provided a tangible measure of time, creating a calming, almost hypnotic effect as the minutes passed silently. The rate of sand flow was remarkably consistent, offering reliability without the need for complex machinery. People could plan tasks, monitor intervals, or mark ceremonies with quiet confidence, trusting in the natural flow of sand to guide their actions in a steady, unhurried manner. Watching an hourglass encouraged mindfulness. Observers noticed each grain falling, the gradual accumulation below, and the slow disappearance above. This attentiveness created a subtle rhythm, connecting the eye and mind to the passage of time in a serene and contemplative way. Early hourglasses varied in size and duration. Some measured only a few minutes, used for cooking or small rituals, while others spanned hours, guiding work shifts or marking events. Each hourglass offered a unique visual and tactile experience, engaging people in the patient observation of natural movement. Children learned to sense time by watching the sand trickle. They noticed how long it took for the upper bulb to empty, and how the process repeated when the hourglass was turned. Through repetition, they internalized the slow, predictable rhythm, developing a calming sense of timing and patience. Hourglasses were often used in conjunction with other timekeeping methods, such as sundials or water clocks, creating layered systems of measurement. These combinations allowed for greater accuracy while maintaining the meditative quality of observation, reinforcing a sense of steady, deliberate rhythm. The quiet sound of sand settling in the lower bulb added an auditory dimension to the experience. Each tiny grain contributed to a subtle, continuous whisper, creating a soft background rhythm that marked the passage of moments in a soothing and gentle way. Portable hourglasses allowed travelers, sailors, and officials to carry a reliable measure of time with them. Even in unpredictable conditions, the gentle, continuous movement of sand offered reassurance, linking them to a calm and predictable flow of hours wherever they went. Seasonal and environmental factors could slightly alter the flow of sand, such as humidity affecting its texture. Observers learned to adapt, noticing small changes and accounting for them with gentle attention, reinforcing mindfulness and patience in the process of measuring time. Hourglasses also became symbols of reflection. Their continuous flow reminded people of life's steady progression, encouraging contemplation and awareness. Each moment could be observed and appreciated, transforming a practical tool into a subtle instrument of meditation and calm. Through hourglasses, humans discovered that even simple materials could create a reliable, gentle measure of time. The flowing sand provided both practical guidance and a quiet, rhythmic companion, allowing people to experience the passage of hours with patience, mindfulness, and a serene awareness of life's natural cadence. When the sun disappeared below the horizon and darkness settled over the land, humans turned their attention to the night sky. The moon and stars became quiet companions, offering subtle guidance through the hours of night. Observing these celestial bodies allowed people to sense time even without artificial light or mechanical devices. The moon's gentle cycle was among the earliest markers of time. Its gradual waxing and waning created a rhythm that repeated predictably, dividing months into phases. People noticed its shape changing each night, learning to anticipate the arrival of full moons or new moons, and linking these cycles to planting, hunting, and communal rituals. Stars, too, offered their own quiet guidance. Constellations rose and set in a steady, familiar order, shifting gradually over the course of the night and across seasons. By observing their positions, humans could track the passage of hours, anticipate seasonal changes, and navigate long distances under the calm, steady canopy of the night sky. Even small changes in the sky were noted. The brightness of certain stars, the length of the moon's arc, and the appearance of specific celestial events, all these subtle signs became markers of time. Observing them required patience, attention, and a gentle focus that invited mindfulness and reflection. Children and young observers learned through quiet imitation. They watched elders trace constellations, note the moon's phases, and track the steady movement of celestial bodies. Slowly, they internalized these patterns, developing a natural sense of the night's progression without the need for mechanical clocks. The night sky also offered reassurance. Its steady cycles reminded people that time continued, even in darkness. The repetition of lunar phases and the predictable movement of stars provided comfort, a silent rhythm that mirrored the cycles of life and nature. For travelers and sailors, celestial observation was especially crucial. By learning to navigate using the stars, people could estimate both direction and time, creating a calm, precise awareness that guided them safely through unknown landscapes or open waters. This quiet reliance on nature fostered patience and attentiveness. The moon's phases often guided rituals and celebrations. Festivals, gatherings, and agricultural events were timed according to the lunar calendar, connecting human activity to celestial rhythms. This practice intertwined practical timekeeping with cultural and spiritual awareness, blending observation with reflection. Observing the stars also strengthened the human connection to the larger universe. Night after night, people watched the same patterns, noticing subtle changes over months and years. This slow, meditative observation fostered a sense of continuity, stability, and calm, reinforcing the perception that time moved steadily and predictably. Even the smallest details were appreciated. The faint twinkle of a distant star, the soft glow of the moon on a quiet evening, and the gradual sweep of constellations across the sky invited attentiveness and reflection. Time became something to experience slowly. Through observation and contemplation, through night sky observation, humans learned that time could be sensed as much as measured. The slow, steady movement of celestial bodies offered both practical guidance and a gentle, meditative rhythm, encouraging patience, mindfulness, and a deep awareness of the universe's quiet order. By following the moon and stars, people connected their daily lives to natural cycles that spanned months and years. This awareness became a foundation for understanding longer periods of time, laying the groundwork for calendars and more precise instruments, while maintaining the calm, reflective rhythm of observation. As humans observed the world around them, they began to notice that time extended beyond the day and night. The changing seasons revealed a slow, deliberate rhythm that influenced every aspect of life. The arrival of spring, the warmth of summer, the crispness of autumn, and the stillness of winter became natural markers of time, guiding work, rest, and celebration. People paid close attention to plants and their cycles. Trees blossomed, fruits ripened, and flowers appeared at consistent times of year. By observing these changes, humans could anticipate the best moments to plant crops or harvest them. This quiet observation connected people to the environment, allowing them to live in harmony with nature's steady flow. Animal behavior also served as a subtle indicator of time. Migratory birds returned in predictable seasons, hibernating creatures disappeared during winter, and insects appeared in the warmth of summer. By noting these patterns, people could align their activities with the rhythms of the living world, creating a gentle, unhurried sense of timing. Temperature and weather patterns provided additional clues. The lengthening or shortening of days, the warmth of sunlit mornings, the cool touch of evening air, these small, tangible changes helped people anticipate seasonal shifts. Life became attuned to these subtle, slow-moving cues, fostering awareness and patience. Humans also noticed that certain natural events repeated year after year. Floods, rains, and dry periods arrive with relative consistency. Observing these recurring phenomena allowed early societies to plan agricultural cycles, festivals, and migrations, all while maintaining a sense of calm and preparedness. Children learned the seasons through experience. They saw the transformation of the landscape, the growth and decay of plants, and the arrival of particular animals. Gradually, they internalized these patterns, understanding that life moved in recurring cycles, each with its own gentle pace and quiet rhythm. The changing seasons were often tied to cultural and spiritual practices. Ceremonies and rituals were timed to honor solstices, harvests, and seasonal transitions. Observing and participating in these events reinforced awareness of time, while providing a reflective, meditative connection to the environment. Natural rhythms also helped structure daily activities. Work, rest, and social gatherings were planned according to the season's light, warmth, and available resources. Life unfolded at a pace dictated by the world around them, encouraging mindfulness and acceptance of the slow, steady passage of time. Even subtle environmental cues were meaningful. The first bloom of a flower, the ripening of a particular fruit, or the appearance of migrating birds signaled transitions in time. Each observation required attention, fostering a calm, patient engagement with the natural world. Humans learned that time was layered. Days, weeks, and months moved in observable patterns, but they were all part of broader, seasonal cycles. Recognizing these patterns provided a sense of continuity and predictability, gently guiding life in a measured, harmonious way. Through careful observation of natural rhythms, people cultivated a deep sense of timing. They learned to anticipate change, plan activities, and synchronize their lives with the environment, all while remaining attuned to the calm, consistent pace of the world around them. The awareness of seasons and natural cycles formed a foundation for later developments in timekeeping. By connecting daily life to these slow-moving rhythms, humans could feel the passage of weeks, months, and years in a gentle, meditative way, understanding that life itself is a continuous and serene flow. Even before tools or instruments, humans discovered that their own bodies could serve as gentle guides through time. The rhythms of waking and sleeping, hunger and satiety, energy and rest created an innate sense of timing that was quiet, reliable, and deeply personal. Observing these patterns allowed people to structure their days naturally, in harmony with their own needs. Morning often brought a gentle awakening. Light filtering through the environment stirred the senses, encouraging activity and attentiveness. The body's natural cycles prompted movement, preparation, and engagement with the world, creating a soothing rhythm that echoed the rising sun and the unfolding of the day. As the day progressed, the body signaled periods of alertness and productivity. Energy levels rose and fell, sometimes gradually, sometimes more subtly. People learned to pay attention, noticing when it was best to work, gather food, or engage in social activities, allowing their internal cues to guide their routines. Hunger became another measure of time. Meals were often timed by the body's natural signals, connecting physical needs with temporal awareness. The gentle anticipation of nourishment created a comforting rhythm, linking the body's cycles with daily activities and providing reassurance of continuity. Fatigue served as a natural reminder to pause. The body's signals to rest or sleep were consistent and predictable, helping people maintain balance. By listening to these cues, humans learned to honor their limits, creating a slow, steady rhythm that harmonized with natural cycles and supported health and well-being. Children observed these patterns naturally. They noticed when they felt energetic, when hunger prompted attention to food, and when sleep was needed. Through repeated experience, they internalized these rhythms, developing an intuitive sense of daily timing that complemented external observations of the sun, moon, and stars. Even small bodily sensations were meaningful. The subtle warmth of rising energy, the gentle slowing of breath, or the heaviness of tired limbs all indicated the progression of hours. By paying attention, people could navigate their day in a calm, mindful manner, guided by the quiet wisdom of their own bodies. Biological rhythms also influenced social and communal life. Group activities often aligned with collective energy levels, meal times, and rest periods. Communities learned to synchronize their days with both natural light and human biology, creating a harmonious flow that was gentle, predictable, and soothing. These internal cycles encouraged reflection and mindfulness. Feeling the passage of time through the body nurtured awareness, patience, and attentiveness, allowing humans to connect with life's natural rhythm on a deeply personal level. Each movement, each pause, became a marker of time's subtle, continuous flow. Even as tools and instruments for measuring time emerged, humans continued to rely on their biological rhythms. The body remained a quiet, steady companion, reminding them that time was not only measured externally, but also felt internally through gentle cycles that never rushed or forced the day. Through attention to these internal patterns, humans cultivated an early understanding of time that was both practical and reflective. By listening to the body, they learned to pace themselves, anticipate changes, and synchronize their activities with natural and social rhythms in a calm, patient way. Ultimately, human biological rhythms offered a profound lesson. Time is experienced as much as it is measured. The cycles of the body provide a gentle, ongoing guide through life, creating a natural, meditative sense of hours, days, and seasons that complements the observation of the world around us. As communities grew, people discovered that sound could mark the passage of time in a gentle, communal way. Bells, chimes, and other auditory signals became quiet guides, helping coordinate activities, signal transitions, and provide a subtle awareness of hours throughout the day and night. Village bells, often placed in central locations or on tall structures, offered a calming, steady rhythm. Their deep tones could carry across fields and streets, reminding people of work periods, rest, and gatherings. Each ringing was deliberate and measured, providing reassurance and continuity without urgency. Church bells and temple chimes became particularly significant. They marked prayer times, ceremonies, or sacred hours, connecting the spiritual life of the community with the daily rhythm of activity. The gentle resonance of these sounds created a soothing background for life, blending practical guidance with reflection. People quickly learned to interpret subtle differences in tone and timing. A short chime might signal the beginning of a work period, while a long toll indicated the close of a day. These distinctions fostered attentiveness and mindfulness, encouraging people to respond calmly to the quiet cues of sound. Even children absorbed these auditory markers naturally. They learned when to gather, when to pause, and when to rest by listening carefully to the familiar patterns of bells and chimes. Over time, this created an intuitive awareness of time, gently integrated into daily life. Drums and other percussive instruments were also used in certain cultures. Their rhythmic beats served as timekeepers during ceremonies, work sessions, or communal gatherings. The repetition of sound created a predictable, meditative rhythm, helping people maintain focus and awareness of time's flow. Sound markers were particularly useful when visual cues were unavailable. On cloudy days, in dense forests, or after sunset, the steady ringing or beating of instruments offered a reliable guide. People could sense time passing without needing to see the sun or moon, relying instead on a quiet, continuous auditory presence. The resonance of bells and chimes had an emotional as well as practical effect. Their gentle tones evoked calmness and stability, reminding listeners that time was moving steadily, predictably, and gently. In a world without clocks, these sounds provided both guidance and comfort. Communities often developed subtle systems of variation. Different bells or chimes were used for specific occasions or times of day, creating a layered awareness of hours and events. This complexity encouraged attentive listening, fostering patience and deliberate perception. Even portable instruments, such as small handbells or gongs, allowed timekeeping in temporary or mobile settings. Travelers, merchants, and officials could carry these sounds with them, using familiar auditory cues to maintain a steady rhythm and sense of order. Over time, the integration of sound with other natural and human-made cues created a richer, more harmonious understanding of time. People learned to combine visual observation, biological rhythms, and auditory signals, fostering a quiet, comprehensive awareness that flowed gently throughout life. Through bells, chimes, and sound markers, humans discovered that time could be measured and experienced in multiple ways. The steady repetition of sound offered both practical guidance and a meditative, soothing presence, reminding communities that hours passed in a gentle, predictable rhythm, quietly shaping daily life. Long before modern communication, humans discovered that fire and smoke could serve as subtle yet effective markers of time. By observing the burning of flames or the rising of smoke, people could signal events, mark transitions, or track intervals, using these natural elements as quiet guides through both day and night. Controlled fires offered a visible reference that moved predictably over time. A steadily burning fire could indicate the passing of hours, while the height, intensity, or color of the flames provided additional cues. This slow, observable change created a calming, meditative sense of time's progression. Smoke signals became particularly valuable for communities spread across distances. By creating puffs of smoke at intervals, people could communicate the passage of time or relay messages over long stretches of land. Each rising column of smoke moved gently, offering reassurance that hours and signals were unfolding as intended. Observing fire and smoke required attentiveness. People learned to monitor the behavior of flames and the direction and density of smoke, noticing subtle changes caused by wind, fuel, or temperature. These observations nurtured patience and mindfulness, encouraging a quiet connection to the elements. Children and apprentices learned by watching elders carefully manage fires. They noticed how flames dwindled, how embers glowed, and how smoke spiraled upward. Through repetition, they developed an intuitive understanding of time, experiencing hours in a slow, tactile, and visual way. Fire and smoke were also integrated into rituals and ceremonial practices. Certain flames might be kept burning during sacred hours, or smoke might signal the start of gatherings or feasts. These practices aligned human activity with natural phenomena, creating a serene and reflective awareness of the day's rhythm. The gentle warmth of a fire added a sensory dimension to timekeeping. Its heat, light, and subtle crackling sounds provided a comforting backdrop, marking the passage of hours while offering physical and emotional reassurance. Observing fire became a meditative experience, linking human presence with the environment's steady changes. Even in practical settings, fire helped coordinate tasks. Cooking, forging, or other work activities could be timed by the slow burning of fuel, creating a rhythmic flow that guided action without urgency. The predictable progression of flames offered a gentle companion to the passage of time. Portable fires allowed humans to carry a measure of time into new spaces. Travelers, herders, and explorers could maintain a sense of order by observing small campfires or controlled flames, linking the quiet movement of fire with the unfolding of hours and nights. Seasonal and environmental factors influenced fire and smoke as well. Humidity, wind, and fuel type affected burn rate and smoke visibility. Observers adapted naturally, learning to account for these changes with careful attention, cultivating patience and skillful awareness. The use of fire and smoke emphasized a multi-sensory experience of time. Sight, sound, and touch all contributed to understanding, creating a gentle, holistic perception of hours and intervals. Time was not only measured, but felt and experienced, intimately connected to human activity and nature. Through fire and smoke signals, humans discovered that time could be tracked with both practicality and reflection. The steady, observable behavior of flames and the graceful rise of smoke offered a meditative, soothing rhythm, linking human life to the gentle, predictable flow of natural processes. As humans sought to understand longer stretches of time, they began to observe patterns that extended beyond a single day or night. The cycles of the moon, the movement of the sun, and the recurring changes in nature inspired the creation of ancient calendars. These early systems provided a gentle, organized way to track days, months, and seasons. Calendars often began as simple markers. Stones, sticks, or notched pieces of wood could record the passage of days or lunar phases. Each mark represented an observation, a quiet acknowledgement of time's steady movement. Over months and years, these simple notations allowed communities to anticipate natural events and plan accordingly. The moon was central to many early calendars. Its predictable phases, waxing, full, waning, and new, created a natural framework for measuring time. People could follow these cycles to schedule planting, harvesting, or ceremonies, using the gentle repetition of the lunar rhythm to guide their lives. The sun also played a role in shaping calendars. Observing solstices and equinoxes provided fixed points in the year, marking seasonal transitions with subtle precision. Early humans noticed these changes in daylight and warmth, linking celestial movements with agricultural, social, and spiritual activities. Some of the earliest civilizations, such as those in Mesopotamia and Egypt, developed remarkably detailed calendars. Stone carvings, inscriptions, and monuments recorded time in a structured manner, translating observation into a quiet, consistent system that guided daily and seasonal life. Calendars encouraged long-term planning. Farmers knew when to sow seeds and when to harvest. Societies could anticipate floods, rains, and other natural events. This quiet foresight brought calmness and stability, allowing life to unfold in rhythm with predictable patterns rather than by chance. Children learned the cycles through storytelling and observation. Elders pointed out the moon's phases, the movement of the sun, and the appearance of seasonal phenomena. Slowly, young people internalized these patterns, cultivating an intuitive sense of the year and the gentle passage of time. Calendars were also connected to rituals and celebrations. Festivals often aligned with full moons, solstices, or the emergence of certain plants and animals. The structure provided by calendars brought harmony to communal life, blending practicality with reflection and contemplation. Early calendars varied in complexity. Some were simple, counting days from one notable event to another, while others incorporated intricate astronomical observations. Regardless of sophistication, all shared a quiet elegance, converting natural rhythms into an organized, understandable measure of time. The process of maintaining calendars required attentiveness. Observers had to watch the sky, note seasonal changes, and record intervals carefully. This mindful engagement with the world reinforced patience and connection to the environment, creating a slow, reflective practice that deepened awareness of time's flow. Even in societies without writing, calendars could be expressed through monuments, markers, or art. Aligning structures with the sun or stars allowed people to track annual cycles, blending observation, culture, and gentle precision in a seamless and meditative way. Through ancient calendars, humans discovered a method to extend their awareness of time beyond individual days. By observing celestial and natural patterns, they created a calm, structured understanding of months, seasons, and years, linking life to the steady, enduring rhythms of the world. Bedtime story vibe. As humans sought to mark the passage of time on a grander scale, they began constructing obelisks and monuments aligned with the sun, stars, or specific celestial events. These silent giants served as visual calendars, quietly signaling days, seasons, and important moments with the slow, predictable movement of light and shadow. Obelisks were tall, slender pillars, often carved from stone, placed in open spaces to interact with sunlight. As the sun rose and fell, the shadow of the obelisk moved across the ground, creating a subtle, continuous indicator of the time of day. This gentle progression invited careful observation and reflection. Many ancient civilizations, including the Egyptians, relied on obelisks not only as monuments, but also as practical timekeeping devices. They were often positioned to mark the solstices, equinoxes, or other astronomical events, connecting daily life with the broader rhythms of the natural and celestial world. The shifting shadow of an obelisk provided a meditative visual cue. People could watch its movement slowly across marked stones or lines on the ground, sensing the passage of hours in a calm, deliberate manner. This practice fostered patience, attentiveness, and a deep connection to the environment. Children and apprentices learned to interpret these shadows gradually. By observing how the light shifted at different times of day or during different seasons, they developed an intuitive understanding of time and space. This quiet observation became a subtle education in both astronomy and temporal awareness. Monuments often aligned with more than just the sun. Certain structures pointed toward particular stars, constellations, or the rising of specific celestial bodies. These alignments allowed people to track longer cycles, anticipate seasonal changes, and plan agricultural or ceremonial activities with precision. The construction of these monuments reflected careful planning, knowledge, and patience. Each placement and angle was considered, often taking years to perfect. In this, humans learned that measuring time could be both a practical necessity and an artistic, contemplative endeavor. Even in everyday life, obelisks offered a gentle guide. Workers, priests, and travelers could glance at shadows to estimate the hour, timing activities without the need for devices. The slow, consistent movement of light created a comforting rhythm, subtly structuring the day. These structures were also communal anchors. The positioning of shadows could coordinate public gatherings, ceremonies, or prayers. The monument stood as a silent witness to the flow of time, connecting individuals and communities to a shared sense of continuity. Portable or smaller monuments were sometimes used locally, such as standing stones in villages or smaller carved pillars marking key points in a settlement. These offered a familiar reference, linking human activity to the gentle, predictable movement of celestial bodies. Observing obelisks encouraged reflection on the relationship between humans and the cosmos. The steady, slow movement of shadows reminded people that time passes consistently, naturally, and gracefully, offering a meditative sense of connection to life's broader patterns. Through obelisks and monuments, humans discovered that time could be expressed physically, visually, and quietly. These structures provided both practical markers and serene companions, showing that the passage of hours, days, and seasons could be understood in harmony with the enduring rhythm of the natural world. Rivers, streams, and canals were more than sources of life. They became subtle markers of time for early civilizations. People noticed that water flowed steadily, carrying leaves, small debris, and reflections of sunlight along a gentle path. By observing its movement, humans could gauge intervals and understand the quiet passage of hours. Floating objects served as natural clocks. By placing sticks, leaves, or simple floating markers in the current, people could track how long it took for them to travel a certain distance. This slow, flowing method created a serene, meditative understanding of time, connected to the rhythm of nature itself. Water's consistency made it a reliable companion. While winds might affect shadows or clouds could obscure the sun, the flow of rivers remained steady, offering a gentle continuity that could be counted upon to measure the quiet progression of the day. Communities along waterways learned to synchronize their daily activities with these gentle currents. Fishing, washing, or travel on rivers was coordinated with the flow of water, using its steady movement as a natural guide. This connection to water fostered calm, patient attention and a harmonious rhythm in daily life. Children observed the movement of water and learned intuitively how it could mark intervals. They would float leaves or small vessels, noticing the time it took to reach a certain point. Through repeated observation, they internalized this rhythm, developing a subtle sense of passage without mechanical tools. Water was also tied to seasonal changes. Snowmelt, rainy seasons, and dry spells altered the speed and volume of rivers, creating predictable patterns over longer periods. People learned to read these variations, using them to anticipate agricultural, social, and communal activities with quiet attentiveness. Markers in waterways were sometimes enhanced with small constructions. Rocks or stakes could guide floating objects, creating measured intervals that offered more precise observation. These early innovations combined simplicity with patience, turning a natural flow into a meditative instrument of timekeeping. The sound of water flowing added a soothing dimension. Gentle ripples, the soft lapping of currents, or the quiet splash of floating objects created an auditory rhythm, reinforcing the sense of continuous, predictable time. This sensory experience deepened the calm awareness of passing hours. Even in navigation, water became a guide. Travelers and traders used the predictable flow to estimate distances and duration of journeys. By observing how long it took for markers to pass certain points, they could plan movement, rest, and activities along rivers with subtle precision. Waterways also influenced cultural and spiritual practices. Many rituals and ceremonies were timed according to the rise and fall of rivers or the arrival of seasonal currents. This reinforced a meditative awareness of time, integrating human life into the natural flow of the environment. Portable markers, like small floating vessels, allowed for local experimentation with time intervals. People could create temporary clocks along streams or channels, observing duration and flow at a small scale. This fostered patience and curiosity, encouraging attentiveness to the gentle passage of moments. Through marking time in waterways, humans discovered that flowing water offered both practical guidance and reflective insight. Its steady movement reminded them that time progresses quietly and predictably, teaching patience, mindfulness, and a serene awareness of life's natural rhythm. Even when people moved inside their homes, quiet methods of tracking time persisted. Observing shadows indoors became a subtle and calming practice, allowing humans to sense the passage of hours without relying solely on sunlight outdoors. The gentle movement of light across walls, floors, and objects created a meditative measure of the day. Windows, doorways, and small openings allowed rays of sunlight to enter rooms at consistent angles. As the day progressed, the shadows shifted slowly, stretching, shrinking, and moving across surfaces. By noticing these subtle changes, people could gauge the time in a serene, unobtrusive manner. Simple objects, such as bowls, plants, or posts, could be placed strategically to cast predictable shadows. These shadows marked intervals, dividing the day into manageable segments. The quiet observation required attention and patience, fostering mindfulness as the hours unfolded gently before the eyes. Children learned the art of indoor shadow observation naturally. By playing with light and noticing the gradual movement of shadows, they absorbed the passage of time in a tactile, visual way. This experience helped them develop a calm, intuitive understanding of hours and moments. Shadows indoors were influenced by both the angle of the sun and the design of the space. People noticed when morning light streamed differently through a window, when the afternoon sun warmed a corner, and when evening shadows lengthened, providing a gentle guide through the day. Evening routines were often timed with the last traces of sunlight indoors. The slow dimming of the day became a natural signal to conclude work, prepare meals, or begin rest. Observing these transitions created a rhythm that was both practical and meditative, linking daily life to the natural cycle of light. Indoor shadow observation encouraged attentiveness to the environment. People noticed subtle changes in brightness, color, and position, developing patience and focus. This quiet practice nurtured awareness and connection, creating a sense of time as a living, observable phenomenon. In addition to practical use, shadows indoors often inspired reflection. The gradual play of light and dark across familiar spaces offered moments of contemplation. Each shifting shape, softly stretching across walls or floors, reminded people of the gentle passage of hours and the quiet continuity of life. The technique also allowed for coordination within households. Tasks could be started or completed based on the movement of shadows, creating a shared, unobtrusive sense of time for everyone in the home. This subtle alignment fostered calm, gentle organization without urgency or rush. Portable objects like candles, lamps, or small reflective surfaces could enhance shadow observation indoors. These tools extended the practice into dimmer areas or later hours, allowing people to continue measuring time in a quiet, mindful way, even when natural light was limited. Shadows indoors connected humans to the larger patterns outside. The angle and movement of light reminded observers of the sun's path and seasonal changes, creating a sense of continuity between interior spaces and the broader world. This subtle awareness encouraged reflection and calm attentiveness. Through observing shadows indoors, humans discovered a delicate, meditative approach to timekeeping. By following the slow, steady shifts of light and dark, they could navigate hours with mindfulness, patience, and a serene connection to both their immediate environment and the natural rhythms of the world. Humans quickly realized that plants could serve as quiet companions in understanding the passage of time. By observing their growth, flowering, and seasonal cycles, people gained a gentle, natural measure of days, weeks, and months. The slow unfolding of life in plants offered a meditative rhythm that was both practical and soothing. Seeds sprouting from the earth became tiny markers of time. People watched as delicate shoots emerged, noting their progress day by day. The patience required to observe growth nurtured mindfulness, encouraging calm attentiveness to small, incremental changes in the natural world. Trees and shrubs provided longer-term indicators. The budding of leaves, the blossoming of flowers, and the gradual ripening of fruits served as signals for seasons and agricultural activities. By tracking these slow, predictable changes, humans could plan planting, harvesting, and other essential tasks with serene awareness. Even the placement of plants in relation to sunlight offered subtle time cues. People noticed shadows cast by taller plants on smaller ones, observing the slow progression of light throughout the day. This natural observation created a gentle connection between daily cycles and the growth of living organisms. Children learned about the passage of time by tending gardens or watching wild plants. They noticed that some plants responded to seasons, some to light, and others to water. This careful observation taught patience, a quiet attentiveness, and an intuitive understanding of temporal cycles. Flowers opening and closing at specific times of day provided additional markers. Certain blooms would open with morning light and close by evening, creating a soft, observable rhythm that naturally divided the day into intervals. These patterns invited calm reflection and attentiveness to the natural world. The slow growth of plants also mirrored longer cycles of life. People observed the gradual changes over months and years, gaining insight into longer periods of time. This awareness nurtured a sense of continuity, linking daily life with broader, enduring patterns in nature. Communities often relied on plant cycles to schedule activities. Seasonal blooms signaled festivals, harvests, or communal gatherings. By aligning human routines with plant growth, life unfolded in harmony with nature's subtle, predictable pace. Even small details, such as the opening of a bud or the ripening of a single fruit, carried meaning. Each change offered a marker for timing daily or seasonal activities. By paying close attention, people cultivated patience and a reflective sense of the slow, gentle movement of time. Portable observation of plants also became a practice. Travelers and shepherds noted the growth of certain species along their routes, using these cues to anticipate seasonal changes and guide their activities. This quiet attention reinforced mindfulness and a connection to the environment. Through tracking plant growth, humans discovered that time could be sensed and experienced as much as measured. The slow, deliberate unfolding of life in plants offered practical guidance while also nurturing a serene awareness of nature's cycles and the gentle rhythm of life. By observing plants carefully, people learned that every small change mattered. The natural progression of growth became a subtle, meditative guide through the day, week, and year, teaching patience, reflection, and a deep appreciation for the quiet passage of time. Bedtime story vibe. Humans discovered that observing animals provided a subtle, natural way to sense the passage of time. Birds migrating, insects emerging, and mammals preparing for hibernation all created predictable patterns that quietly marked seasons and guided daily life. These rhythms offered both practical guidance and a meditative connection to nature. Migratory birds were particularly helpful indicators. Their arrival and departure from regions occurred with remarkable consistency, signaling the changing of seasons. By observing these gentle movements across the sky, humans could anticipate environmental changes and adjust their activities in harmony with nature's cycles. Hibernating animals also provided cues. As certain species disappeared into winter burrows or dens, people learned that colder months were approaching. Watching this behavior unfold offered a quiet sense of continuity, a natural rhythm that helped humans align with the slower pace of seasonal transitions. Insects, too, offered subtle markers. Bees became active in spring, while other insects appeared or vanished according to temperature and seasonal conditions. These small, delicate creatures acted as living clocks, their patterns signaling shifts in the environment with a quiet reliability. Children learned to notice these behaviors through observation and play. They watched birds build nests, squirrels gather food, and insects emerge from hiding. Gradually, they developed an intuitive understanding of seasonal changes and learned to anticipate the rhythm of life in their surroundings. Animal behavior also influenced human activities. Hunting, gathering, and farming were often timed according to the appearance or departure of certain species. This connection encouraged attentiveness and patience, fostering a gentle sense of time rooted in observation rather than instruments. Even the sounds of animals provided temporal cues. Morning bird songs, evening insect chirps, and the occasional howl or call created a natural rhythm, marking the progression of hours and seasons. These auditory signals offered a soothing, continuous sense of life's steady passage. Communities also integrated animal behavior into their cultural and spiritual practices. Certain festivals and rituals coincided with the migration of birds or the emergence of specific creatures. By aligning human life with these natural events, societies cultivated a calm, reflective awareness of time. The predictability of animal behavior allowed humans to plan long-term activities. Farmers could determine planting or harvesting schedules, while hunters and gatherers could optimize their efforts. Observing these cycles reinforced patience and a gentle attentiveness to the subtle cues of the environment. Even small daily patterns in animals were meaningful. The early morning flight of birds, the evening return of livestock, or the nightly activities of nocturnal creatures all provided markers for dividing the day. These repeated actions created a continuous, meditative sense of temporal progression. Cartable observation was also possible. Travelers and nomads noted animal activity along their routes, using these natural cues to gauge seasons, predict weather, or plan journeys. These quiet markers offered reassurance and consistency in unfamiliar landscapes. Through seasonal animal behavior, humans discovered that time could be experienced as a living, dynamic presence. The rhythms of creatures large and small provided both practical guidance and a reflective, meditative awareness, teaching patience, attentiveness, and a serene understanding of life's cyclical nature. Beyond natural markers and celestial observation, humans discovered that the collective patterns of work and activity within their communities could provide a gentle sense of time. Daily labor, shared tasks, and coordinated routines created a predictable flow that quietly structured life. These rhythms became an extension of natural cycles, offering both practical guidance and a meditative awareness of passing hours. Morning routines often began with the rising sun. Families and neighbors engaged in familiar tasks, from tending fields and livestock to preparing meals and organizing tools. The repetition of these activities across households created a synchronized, calm rhythm that marked the start of each day. As the day progressed, communities developed subtle divisions of labor. Certain tasks were performed at specific times, such as midday breaks, tending to water sources, or communal gatherings. These repeated cycles offered a shared understanding of time, creating gentle coordination without reliance on clocks or instruments. Children learned the flow of the day by participating in these routines. They observed elders working in fields, carrying water, or managing livestock, absorbing the natural segmentation of hours and activities. Through practice and observation, they internalized a patient, intuitive sense of time embedded in daily life. Labor cycles often aligned with environmental cues. The position of the sun, the warmth of the day, and the availability of natural resources guided the pace of work. Communities adapted to these subtle signals, learning to respond with calm attentiveness, allowing life to unfold in gentle harmony with nature. Evenings provided a transition from labor to rest. Tasks concluded gradually, animals were secured, and meals were shared. This predictable winding down of activity offered a soft, reflective rhythm, marking the day's close and preparing individuals for quiet rest and meditation. Special communal activities, such as market days, festivals, or religious observances, punctuated the workweek. These recurring events reinforced awareness of larger temporal patterns, creating a sense of continuity and shared experience that extended beyond individual households. The coordination of labor cycles also encouraged mindfulness. People became attuned to the pace of others, the flow of tasks, and the natural progression of the day. This attentiveness cultivated patience and a gentle respect for the steady, communal rhythm of life. Small details were meaningful within these cycles. The opening of a shop, the ringing of a bell, or the start of a market could signal intervals of time, subtly dividing the day into segments. Observing and participating in these markers created a quiet sense of structure and reliability. Portable work markers, such as simple tools or signals, allowed these rhythms to extend across regions. Traveling workers, shepherds, and merchants maintained awareness of the day by following familiar routines, integrating practical labor with a meditative sense of time. Through community rhythms and labor cycles, humans learned that time could be understood collectively. The repetition of daily and weekly activities offered both structure and calm, providing reassurance and continuity, while fostering a serene awareness of life's predictable and gentle flow. Ultimately, observing and participating in these communal cycles allowed humans to synchronize their lives not only with nature and the cosmos, but also with one another. Time became a shared, living experience, soft, steady, and quietly meditative. As humans explored the many ways to understand and measure time, they discovered a rich tapestry of methods, each gentle, deliberate, and deeply connected to life itself. From the rising and setting of the sun to the flowing of rivers, the movement of stars, and the behavior of animals, time became a presence that could be observed, felt, and harmonized with. By combining celestial observations with natural rhythms, communities developed a layered awareness of hours, days, months, and seasons. The moon, stars, and sun provided frameworks that were complemented by the quiet markers of fire, shadows, and flowing water, creating a serene and multifaceted understanding of temporal passage. Human biological rhythms served as a constant inner guide. Waking, sleeping, hunger, and fatigue all contributed to an intuitive sense of timing. By listening to the body, individuals learned patience, attentiveness, and the gentle unfolding of daily life, aligning themselves with both nature and community practices. Early instruments, such as hourglasses, bells, chimes, and obelisks, offered visual and auditory markers. Their steady, predictable patterns reinforced the natural cycles already present in life, bridging observation and practical action. These tools encouraged mindfulness, allowing people to sense time with both precision and calm. Communities further refined their awareness through shared labor cycles. Coordinated work, collective routines, and seasonal tasks provided a reassuring rhythm, fostering a quiet sense of continuity and connection. People learned that time was not only a personal experience, but also a shared living presence woven into the fabric of society. Plants and animals added another layer of temporal understanding. Observing growth, flowering, migration, and hibernation created a natural calendar that was both practical and meditative. Life became attuned to the slow, steady cycles of the environment, nurturing patience and reflective awareness in every interaction with the world. Children learned these lessons through careful observation and participation. By watching the natural, social, and celestial rhythms, they absorbed a gentle understanding of time that required no mechanical tools. Their awareness was cultivated through experience, reflection, and quiet attentiveness to the world around them. The integration of these early timekeeping methods created a profound harmony. Humans came to understand that time could be measured, observed, felt, and shared. Each approach, from shadows and sand to stars and labor cycles, contributed to a comprehensive, calming perception of life's unfolding. Even small daily practices carried meaning. Noticing the movement of light across a room, the flow of water in a stream, or the rising and setting of birds offered a meditative awareness of passing hours. These subtle observations connected individuals to the broader cycles of life and nature. Through reflection on these early methods, people gained not only practical knowledge, but also a contemplative understanding of time. Life's rhythm became a gentle teacher, showing that the passage of hours and seasons could be appreciated as a continuous, serene flow rather than a hurried measurement. All of these systems, natural, biological, communal, and mechanical, interwove to create a balanced, integrated experience of time. Humans learned that the world itself provided markers, reminders, and patterns that could guide life with patience, mindfulness, and a quiet sense of order. Ultimately, the early methods of timekeeping taught a universal lesson. Time is both seen and felt, measured and experienced, external and internal. By observing, participating, and reflecting, humans discovered a calm, harmonious way to move through life, attuned to the steady, gentle, and enduring rhythms of the world around them.